Good. Sorry for the delay. I was just on the phone.
What was
Someone else
that?
called me.
We'll have to get together soon and play that Fortnite, and then do a bit of maybe a podcast on that, so we can kind of give our 2 cents on the cross-platform thing and how it's working.
You can talk about Fortnite a little bit, kind of as a preamble. What do you know about it?
Well, I mean,
What have you heard about it?
Well, I had seen advertisements on it, and then I think there was some news thing saying that, it was a lot of people were playing these games. I figured, well, I kind of looked into it a little bit, and then I saw someone like hand gliding type thing. I was like, well, it looks, quite cartoonish and that, so I didn't know if I was gonna try it or not. And then you had mentioned that the cross-platform between PC and Xbox, that was one of the games. And because we were talking about this quite a few episodes ago regarding the cross-platform and how they would do it and if they would do it. But now Xbox is pretty much a PC in itself. So the cross-platform, I guess, is almost, you would think it's almost seamless.
Yeah.
But so Sean's downloaded this game, and I've downloaded the game. Now it's just
and
the
I
point
also downloaded it on Sylvie's block too.
Yeah.
Play.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I don't know how so have you heard anything about like is it just versus or cooperative or what have you heard?
Well, when I load it up, it looks like there's 2 options. One is, you can go with some people and do your battles and whatnot. But then the second option is like there's 100 people, and then everybody's battling for something, I guess. Now I think that's the one that we'd be thrown in, because when I launched the demo, and I only did it the one time. I started off with I think it was a pickaxe, and then I was whacking stuff, and then at some point I got a machine gun that fired one shot at a time, and that's about as far as I got. I mean, there's I can't remember how I got into the air, but then you could pick between skydive or use the glider. So then I just kind of used the glider, and you're supposed to go towards, I guess, a direction from what I gather. But I haven't really played it enough to really pick it apart yet.
Yeah, like I there's like everyone at the office here plays, and that's how I heard about it.
Everybody in the office?
Yeah.
Really?
But they out of them all, one of them plays on PC, and then everyone else plays on PS4. But there's no cross compatibility with PS4 and Xbox, and that probably has to do with the rivalry more than anything.
Well, I mean, if the unit you have is pretty much a PC, then I mean it shouldn't be that as complicated to do as a whole platform. It's like an Apple talking to an Android. It's like it's totally 2 different languages.
Yeah, I guess that's true too. But I don't know. I'm not sure if the PS4 is actually like a computer, like the Xbox. The Xbox is a computer. Like that's all it is, really. I mean, it runs Windows more or less, running Windows.
Right.
But I don't know what. Like, I don't know too much about the PS4. In that regard, like I don't.
Yeah, we never really sat down and took a look at the electronics portion of these gaming tabletop units, because a lot of them are using they're mostly still DVDs, right?
I think. So, I don't know. Sorry, I just drove by my dead spot on the way home.
Okay. Yeah, I get you now.
It's that same freaking spot every time. I don't know what it is. I bet you if I had the radio on, I'd be going. So I'm also going to look into, because I think there's also a game called Warhammer Vermintide. I don't know if you've heard of that one. Have you heard of that one?
What was the first portion of it?
It's called Warhammer.
I've heard of Warhammer.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Well, Warhammer Vermintide is like Warhammer is like one of those it's not a D&D game. It's more like a tactical map game
Okay.
where you put like squads of this or that. You know, you got one squad of 50 orcs, and you got one squad of 10 orcs, and then they're using rulers and stuff to play.
Okay.
And they have like basically it's just like the battle board is like they'll actually recreate landscapes. And they're using felt and a whole bunch of different things to make it look as realistic as possible.
Oh, like a little minute, like when you have a train set and you get the little villages.
Yeah.
And...
Actually,
okay.
very much like that.
Yeah.
So that's what Warhammer is, and it's super expensive. When you're playing, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to build a faction of orcs and bugbears and goblins, and it's lots of vehicles and stuff like that. So you're actually, every piece is like expensive. Like some of the pieces are like $60 a piece.
Wow.
But you're building a faction, like an army. So you got to buy all these pieces. So I think each vehicle is like $60. That could be totally wrong on the pricing here, but it's in that ballpark. And then you got to buy the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be the orc soldiers or the bugbear soldiers or the goblins or whatever.
And what scale are these? To
There's
say
the same scale as like D&D, which are 30 millimeters, I think is the size. They're 25 millimeters. Whatever that is in inches. Yeah,
what was that in inches?
No, for some reason they use the millimeter size. That's what I've always been familiar with because that's how they call it.
Oh. Okay.
But it's like if you ever seen like a D&D miniature, that's the size they are. It's the little playing pieces, like D&D playing pieces. That's what size they are.
See, when I think of
it's probably like 2 inches or something.
Oh, okay.
Or no, less than 2 inches. 1.5 inches.
Yeah. See, Monopoly comes to mind, but play pieces. That's how.
Yeah.
Play pieces.
Yeah, they'd be bigger than a Monopoly playing.
And they want like $60 for them.
Well, no, I think those ones are like $15 a piece.
Oh, okay.
Or $10 or $15 a piece.
Right.
But then they'll all have like, I think in Warhammer, maybe the vehicles, quote unquote, might be like they've got like a giant bear that they're riding on or something. Like that would be the vehicle. But there's also like outside of Warhammer, there's also like true military ones. Is that your Christmas time?
I don't know, it sounded like a fax machine there for a second.
But there's like the military ones where it's like spacecraft and stuff. Like there's Star Trek ones, Star Wars ones, so you'd be flying like Millennium Falcon.
So let me get this straight.
So Warhammer, anyway. So that's Warhammer's that.
So do you have to buy all these pieces separate? It does not come like in a whole game?
No, God no. And then you still have to build your landscape. So you're buying like little trees and rocks, and then you're forming it so like to make it hilly. So anyway, so this video game is not any of that.
Okay.
But it's just a video game. You buy the video game, you play.
Right.
So it's like a cheap ass version. But I don't even know why it's called Warhammer because you're actually in the game. There's 4 players playing cooperatively together to fight the bad guys.
See, I get a whole different picture here. When I picture Warhammer, I'm picturing of this dwarf with blonde hair and a handlebar mustache coming down with a mace. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of, like in full body armor type stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I envision in my head. But now you're saying it's like something totally different.
Well, that's what the video game is. The video game is actually, like, I don't know why it's associated with Warhammer, but I guess Warhammer wanted to make a video game. So it's really just like D&D, you know, a dwarf and there's an elf, and I mean it's like WoW. It's more like WoW.
Well, is Warhammer a game in itself, or is it a genre?
Well, Warhammer the video game is the one we're playing, but the role playing game is, you know, where they make all that money.
Oh, like are there actual people that buy all this stuff?
Oh God, yeah. They have tournaments and everything. It's like one of those things. Like if there's a tournament circuit for it.
So when you say tournament, like, so what? You just bring your one piece.
yeah, you're not playing. You got one piece, you ain't playing.
Well, if you have your piece, that's your piece. So what you're saying is you have to have a whole conglomerate of a universe before you can play with other people?
Well, I think the idea is that you collect and build your army, and there's a whole point system for what you can have in your army. I'm not totally familiar with that, but
okay,
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, because we got to back up a little bit because now, so when you say Warhammer, okay,
yes.
I'm thinking you've got people going to the store and buying these figurines, these vehicles, and by the time you can actually play with anyone else, you have to spend a minimum of what, $8,000-$9,000?
I don't know. I think you could, I think there's different levels, right? So every character has, I think this is how it works, has a point value.
Okay.
And if someone's is going to have a fight against somebody, it may be, they may say, okay, well, and I'm totally getting the points wrong, but you're going to have a grouping of 175 points. So maybe the bear is 50 points, and the orcs are 25 points apiece. So, I mean, you could probably, on a lower level fight, maybe you can put something together for $100. And then you fight with that.
So you bring your entourage with you is basically what you're doing,
yep.
And going to these conventions or whatnot, and you try and destroy everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay. So the game itself is not someone has the game. It's only a game when someone brings their game to your game.
Well, brings their pieces, yeah.
Okay.
So I think some places, when they have tournaments, I think the topography or whatever you want to call it, the board that you're playing on,
right,
might already be there, and maybe there's people. If people want to throw their 2 cents in here, that'd be great. But I think you'll go someplace and they'll have a board set up. So there'll be this landscape, there's all these trees and these rocks, and maybe there's a river
right.
on there, and they'll have this giant table that they decked out and that they spent weeks and weeks building the map. So then you'd go to this tournament or this place and then say, okay, well, I brought my faction. We're going to fight on this table that someone designed.
See, I'm just
so
blown
the fight's
away.
Different. What's that?
I'm just blown away that people would do this.
I know.
That they have done this.
Yeah.
It's I never heard of this before. This is all new to me. It's you're blowing me away.
I think our cousin Mike used to play stuff like this. I think. So I played with Dylan.
Right.
You know who Dylan is.
Yeah.
He brought me over to this place. I said, I don't know what the hell this is. I've never played it. I hear about it. It's huge. It's super popular. It's made by Games Workshop, so they do more than just Warhammer. They have, I think, Games Workshop does the sci-fi ones and all the other ones. So I don't know how to play this. Okay, well, I've got a bunch of factions or groups or whatever. So I'll let you have a quote unquote 175 point group, and then I'll run a 175 point group, and then I'll show you how it works. So they've got all these specialized rulers and stuff. So he actually built a topography for us to play on, a map or whatever.
Right.
When I say map, it's a 3D, it's an actual, when I play my D&D, it's just a rubber mat.
Right.
And then you just draw on it.
This one's got trees and bushes and everything in 3D.
Yeah, I'll use a green marker to draw some trees. But this is you see the real trees.
Right.
But they use that as okay, well, I want to attack this group of orcs over there. But you can literally, you stand behind the orcs you're controlling, the group of orcs you're controlling, and you say, well, there's trees in the way. So I actually can't see you, so I can't attack you.
Right.
So that means I got to move around to get to you.
And hopefully they're not looking in your direction so that they can see you, depending on your turn, I guess, and what you roll.
Yeah, so they've got these specialized rulers, and it says, okay, well, this is the hilly terrain, so you can't move, you can only move, of course, I'm probably getting a lot of this wrong, but you can only move 75% of what you would do. And then I think you have like a move versus, okay, well, this group of orcs, they're archers, so they can attack. So I'm going to have all my archers attack this group, the distance of 100 feet relative, right?
Right.
And they're going to shoot a volley of arrows, and we're going to try to, I'm going to try to attack that group of orcs over there. So then they attack, but if they attack, they can't move, or they suffer a penalty for moving or something like that.
So does this, the person that runs this game, are they the game master?
There is no game master.
So
that's the thing. It's one of those things, but there isn't really a game master. Literally it's me versus you. That's how the game is run. So there's no role playing going. You know, it's purely tactical combat and nothing else.
Right.
And it's not one-on-one fights. It's never one-on-one fights. It's always this group versus that group, but when the whole group's destroyed, the whole group's destroyed. It's like, actually, have you ever played Risk?
No. Well, no, I should say I played it, didn't really get into it, and then just, wasn't for me.
It's exactly like Risk. It's actually very much like Risk.
Right.
Except way more complicated. And Risk is complicated as it is, right?
Right.
But it's very much like that. So, for example, if you have a group of 5 attacking a group of 2, the group of 5 is obviously going to have advantage on the group of 2. And if the group of 2 is going to attack the group of 5, it's probably much harder for the group of 2 to score wins on the group of 5 because they're smaller. So there's a lot of math involved.
So is there anything advantageous between one group to another? Like you say, like, okay, well, I get all the money, so I get all the best gear and all this other stuff, where the other people are kind of struggling. You know,
no, I don't think so.
Is it unfair that way, or?
I think it's specifically set up on a point system. So, like I'll use that 175 number again. So you have to have a cumulative point of 175 to fight someone else's 175.
Right. Now,
for that 175, maybe you have your group to add up to the 175 points. Your offense is super, super high.
Right.
And you're really good at scoring hits, but you got no defense. Your defense totally sucks. Or you move really slow, or you have no range.
Right.
So there's a bunch of factors that come into that 175. So you may choose to have someone who has a better defense and a lower offense, but a greater ability to move faster. You know, like you pick what it is, but it's a universal system of points for what each faction is, and every single thing you buy has a point value to it. Something like that. But it's really complicated. Like, if you go into a tournament, like, you have to say, well, this is what I got, these are my points. And, you know, I think you have to show what you have.
Right.
But I think there's suggestions like, okay, well, if you're going to buy orcs, you have to have a minimum of 3 orcs to build a faction.
Okay. So,
and then those orcs might be worth 25 points.
So how do you know when it's your turn?
Oh, it's tactical. So I think there's an initiative thing. So the faster people go first. So like I said, some people move faster, and some people move slower. So you might have a higher attack, but you're slower.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's how they determine who goes first. So
it's round based.
So for your hunt, sorry.
So it's like round based. Everyone takes a turn.
Yeah, everyone takes a turn, and I think it's based on your speed of your faction.
Oh, so it's got nothing to do with, you don't roll dice or anything. It's like,
No.
It's all about your
I think
stats.
You do roll dice when you attack, I think. So your cumulative of your faction's attack. So for that 175 points, that might be 7 groups, for example.
Right.
So you might have one group of 3 orcs, another group of 5 orcs, one bear, one dragon, and then, you know, a group of 25 orcs. Like, so the whole makeup, every faction has its own turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's super complicated. I don't know how we got into this, But I was actually just trying to tell you about the video game. So I have no idea why the video game isn't like that.
Right.
But they built a video game, which is just a D&D video game, really. Like, do you remember that old arcade classic, that old chestnut Gauntlet?
Gauntlet.
Yeah, it was an arcade game. You go to the arcade.
That wasn't the guy in the
four
dungeon
people
in the
could
castle,
play.
was it?
What's that?
That wasn't the guy in the castle, was it?
Guy in the castle?
No, I'm thinking of a different one, I think.
Yeah, this was an actual arcade game. You go to the arcade, and
Right.
there was 4 stations around the actual arcade game.
Right.
So you could play the dwarf, or you could play the female elf, I think. There was a barbarian, and then there was like a wizard. It plays like that. Like, everyone has their own sets of abilities, but it's really straightforward. Like, you played Left 4 Dead.
Yep.
So it plays exactly like that, except the zombies have been replaced with rat men, like men that look like rats.
Oh, lovely.
And then the bosses, like the big monsters,
Culture, yeah.
have been replaced with equivalent fantasy-related monsters. So, there's I don't know how much you remember Left 4 Dead, but there's a guy who belches.
Yeah, the belching guy blows up.
Well, they have a guy like that, but he's got this big pack on his back.
Oh.
And he shoots this green shit at you, and if you're in it, then everything's all fucked up.
Right, it's like a poison.
So so there's one of those. There's the tongue guy, the equivalent tongue guy, which is a guy that has this contraption, which is this really long stick with a rope, I think, on the end. So he snares you around the neck and then pulls you along.
Oh.
And then there's like I think they're called a leaper in Left 4 Dead. So he's basically an assassin. He kind of crawls on the walls and then he jumps on you, knocks you down, and just starts stabby like crazy. So they have, like, literally they have a tank. They have exactly the same bosses.
Right.
So it's exactly the same. It literally exactly the same controls.
Is that the same company?
No. They could totally, it's like you probably could have sued them.
Well,
but anyway,
not if this information gets out to the right people, and then they could get to look into it further.
But I'm happy because, like, we played Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. We loved the shit out of it.
Right. And
then they finally made a follow-up. They finally made another game, that company, and it wasn't all that fun. They actually made a completely different type of game.
Right.
And it was okay. It was called Evolve, and I think I bought it for $5. It was an Xbox Gold sale or something, and it wasn't that good. It was just like, okay.
It's like a whole different thing altogether.
So we found this, and it was a free game at the time. One of those free games per month one deals, and we got it. And it's like, it plays exactly the same way, and it's fun, but it's in a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
But it's literally all the same tropes, all the same stuff. It's like a lot of fun. I was gonna see if that one's crossed. Like, what I was trying to say is, I want to see if that one's cross-platform. It may be something we could try.
Yeah.
But I'll check into that one. It looks like it might be. I think it's a PC game first. But it's 4-player cooperative doing the mission.
I think you have to pay for that one.
Maybe. But I'll see.
Yeah, I think it's
anyway.
Yeah, the one that we have, the part that's free, I guess, is when it's pretty much a free for all.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, okay. Yeah, I'm home.
All right then.
You can hear my dog crying.
All righty. All right.
She's so happy I'm home.
They can hear it.
Oh yeah. All right. Well.
All right.
We'll talk to you later and see you on the flip side.
All righty.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.